Madam Speaker and her grandson Thomas. As well, I'd like to welcome Mayor Muriel Bowser and Jose Andres. If I might, when words are no longer heard and numbers grow too big, art must step in. As a visual artist, I was compelled to humanize this pandemic. When the numbers got too big, they became too easy to dismiss. And thus, I've created In America with the help of the public. There's one white flag planted here for every individual whom we have lost to COVID. There had to be individual flags because individuals matter. When it was intimated that our elderly should sacrifice themselves for our economy, I was horrified. When people found out that communities of color were disproportionately affected and yet people were clamoring to open up, I was horrified. Every individual life matters. Yours, mine, and all of theirs. I planted this central array so that it would reflect Arlington Cemetery. Arlington has 270,000 headstones. As you can see, we're beginning to approximate that number. The difference is, at Arlington, that is where we have buried those who have protected us. Here, we are honoring those whom we have not protected. This weekend, I planted another 2,000 flags. We need to take a pause and realize that we are living through the most historic moment of our lifetimes. This is the largest mass casualty event in the United States that we have evidenced. And that's one of the reasons why we've created this art, to give us a moment to understand our loss. If you haven't lost someone who you love, you have lost jobs, you have lost businesses, you have lost the ability to hug each other. We have lost the human touch. And yet, that is one thing that I love about this art. It reminds us that the one thing we do have is compassion and each other. A few days ago, I witnessed a deaf man console a complete stranger who had lost his uncle the day prior. Over the weekend, we had an emergency room doctor come and write the names of 12 patients whom he had lost on flags. And then he rushed back to his next shift. That's compassion. And maybe that's what patriotism really should be. Instead of just being busy wrapping ourselves in iconography and demanding our individual rights, maybe we have reached a point where patriotism needs to be caring for one another and showing compassion. This has become a national place of mourning. We've had people already visit from Long Island, New Jersey, Indiana, the Carolinas. Actually, yesterday morning, a woman came from Milwaukee. She flew from Milwaukee to Columbus. She rented a car. She drove from Columbus to here to write the names of her loved ones on flags. And then she got in her car and she drove back. If we can't unite over racial issues, over socioeconomic opportunities, over ideology, we can unite in our communal loss. And that is what this art represents. I would like to thank the mayor for helping us to secure this site. It's not easy to find a site that will house this many flags and that has the reverence that is needed for this type of art. May I introduce Washington, D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser, who has stood tall amongst all the unprecedented and indeed unpresidential attacks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be with Suzanne Furstenberg, who who had this beautiful vision on this place in front of the Robert F. Kennedy Memorial Stadium. We affectionately just refer to it as RFK, where we stand to recognize and to mourn more than 230,000 Americans who have succumbed to COVID-19. Here we not only mourn, but we stand ready to demand a national response to COVID. We stand with our fellow Americans who have experienced such great loss. And we commit ourselves to doing everything that we can locally, as we have done, to stand shoulder to shoulder to protect Washingtonians. And even with all of the sacrifice, more than 600 Washingtonians have succumbed to COVID-19. And we stand with their families, expressing our most sincere condolences. I want to thank the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who has been such a sound, persistent voice for the American people. I want to thank her for recognizing the human loss and the life loss, but also recognizing that the economic catastrophe caused by COVID-19 will take many months and years for all of us to overcome. Personally, we all have to thank her for speaking up for Washingtonians when we have seen what a national government can do to a city without two senators. We want to thank Speaker Pelosi for never forgetting that we're taxpayers, that we love our country, and that we're always going to do our part. So, Madam Speaker, on behalf of all of us, thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge Chef Jose Andres, who responds to emergencies around the world, and we've seen that he's willing and able and very competent in responding to emergencies right here at home. So on behalf of 700,000 of us in Washington and those families who have lost loved ones or people who have become sick, I want to thank the artists for this, and also announce that we will extend the ability for this exhibit to stay here through the month of November. So with that, I want to introduce Chef Andres, who will introduce our speaker. Jose.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, Mayor Bowser, and thank you for your leadership all this month. To be a leader in these moments is not easy. And we see when leadership steps up. Actually, I'm not so happy that this is happening at RFK. I think this should be happening right on the grounds of the White House. Because in a way, we need to be reminding our leader, that to die shouldn't be political. To live shouldn't be political. Should be the very simple right that every single man and woman under one flag that live in America is what our leaders should be doing. Taking care of we, the people. My mom was a nurse. My father was a nurse. These flags here symbolize many of the nurses and doctors that die trying to protect the lives of others. Doctors and nurses at the times didn't even have a simple 10-cent mask to try to save their lives. So here I am as a proud Spanish immigrant, one more guy saying, unfortunately, this count is gonna keep increasing. And we need leadership that will make sure that every American life counts. So without further ado, I want to be introducing a person that I cannot believe she's so brave to be without a coat. If you talk about in these days that we talk about a strong man, let me introduce you a strong woman, Speaker Pelosi.
Thank you very much, Jose, not only for your wonderful introduction, which I'm sure my grandson Thomas will appreciate, but for being such a source of charity to so many people. Whether it's a government shutdown and people didn't have jobs and were not being paid, you fed the people. Whether it was hurricanes, earthquakes, whatever happens, fires, you are there to feed the people. You are a source of great charity. And that's why it's such an honor to be with you today. So let's start with the three most important, the virtues: faith, hope, and charity. Suzanne Furstenberg and her husband Doug and their children have faith. They believe that the arts will send a message to make the change that is necessary. They believe that this impression will inspire people, will make them sad, but also make them strong to say, what can we do to stop this? I've known Doug and Suzanne for over 30 years. I remember when their children were born, so it's a personal privilege for me to be here with them today and to see this remarkable demonstration of the arts. I always believe that the arts can bring us together, whatever our differences, because we cry together, we mourn together, we're inspired together. And that faith, if you didn't have faith that it could make change, you wouldn't be doing this. So thank you for your deep faith. And that faith is in the goodness of others. And the faith in the goodness of people who is like Jose Andres. But as I said earlier, a source of great charity. A source of great charity. It's such an honor that he is here, and my understanding is that some people want to make contributions and that you probably will announce that it will be to feed the hungry. A biblical call to feed the hungry that Chef Andres honors all the time. So we have faith in the goodness of others that gives us hope. That is our mayor. She is such a fabulous leader. She sees it all in perspective. She sees it all in perspective. She leads with strength, with charity, with faith, and she therefore gives us hope. The mayor has had one of the biggest challenges because so many things have been happening around this and everything that goes with it without going into any detail there. But I have seen her in action. And it fills me with emotion to see her standing with John Lewis when he made his last appearance in Washington, D.C., on his way home to Atlanta, to go on his way home to heaven with the mayor at Black Lives Matter Plaza on that occasion. But it said so much, the visual. It said so much about all that people have been through, but the hope that we have for the future. So Suzanne and Doug, and Suzanne, especially to you, the artist, I know people are going to be coming to write names on these flags as well of loved ones that they have lost. It's almost incomprehensible that here in America this would happen. But thank you for giving us this optic, this visual manifestation of it. Not only the lives, how horrible all this time, but the families, the communities that had lost maybe 1,000 healthcare providers. They risked their lives to save lives, and now here they are in this display. So thank you, Suzanne, for giving us this opportunity. How appropriate at RFK, because RFK devoted his life to faith, hope, and charity. So I'm honored to be here with all of you. I'm honored to be with my grandson and my daughter so that they could see what you made a decision to do and all that is involving your family to plant these flags. And Mayor, it's wonderful that it will be here until the end of November so that many more people can see this. Thank you all very much. Let us always pray. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. We'll now have you plant a flag. and Jose Andres as well. Just to make a note, people have asked if they could contribute to this cause. The greatest contribution is to contribute to Jose Andres' wonderful efforts, because we've got to keep everyone safe and fed throughout this long winter that approaches. Thank you.
Carla, fuck her, man. Excuse me, please. No, you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're rolling long. I'm sorry. How are you? Can you please take a picture? Thank you.
We're in an unprecedented time. I personally have never seen this amount of boarding up of DC businesses, triggering for a lot of people a time in our country where we had to be concerned about peaceful transitions of power, or the fair counting of votes, or the unintimidated access to the polls. And so that all saddens me. I will say that our Homeland Security team and police department have been planning for many weeks to prepare for election night. Our message to DC residents is to go vote. If you haven't already voted, you can vote today at an early voting center through 8 p.m. Voting begins tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at more than 90 locations across the district. So exercise your right to vote. Don't wait until tomorrow. Go today, go early to make sure your vote counts, and then go home. And be safe in your homes, and count on local and state officials across the country to make sure that every vote is counted, and that the winner of the election is announced when every vote is counted. And that's what we will rely on from our own Board of Elections, and we know that will happen at locations across the country.
Will you declare curfew tomorrow night?
I don't expect to. The question was, will I declare a curfew? And at this stage, our planning doesn't indicate that that would make DC safer, and we don't expect to. But if that should change, we will get that out far and wide.
What's your reaction to the national violence in DC? Kind of stoke the concerns that if the president loses, this is what's going to happen. Sorry, the president loses, this is what's going to happen.
I haven't. I don't know what the footage is that you're referring to, but we are a peaceable people in the district. Our police department is accustomed to helping to manage peaceful protest, but we do demand that people exercising their First Amendment rights follow the law, do not assault our police officers, respond to orders from police, and if there are to be demonstrations, that they remain peaceful.
That if someone's trying to make use of what has happened here to say if the president wins, the left is going to go crazy again. What's happened in the past?
I can't comment on that. I can just say what We know it's appropriate in what DC residents expect on our streets and for people who visit our city.
How many policemen?
One
will
second,
be
you've had a
deployed?
question.
The police department last week said that there was no credible threat, and I think you also said that. But I guess at the same time, all the officers are going to be on duty.
That's correct.
And why is that, Mayor?
We have to be prepared, Sam. We want to keep our streets safe. First, we want people who are peacefully protesting to be safe, and we want to be able to identify and deal with people who might come here for mayhem and destruction. We do have, and I'll ask Chris Rodriguez to talk about if we have any permits in place already.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. So we are, through the Metropolitan Police Department, tracking about a half dozen permits for First Amendment demonstrations for the election period. All of the organizers have been in touch with the Metropolitan Police Department to make sure that they do that and they exercise their First Amendment constitutional rights in a safe and secure way.
So there are going to be 6 groups, you say, that will be protesting?
Well, so far we've seen permits for about 6 groups. And again, they've been in touch with the Metropolitan Police Department, and they're making sure, through the Mayor's Special Events Task Group as well, that they're going to be doing that in a safe and secure way.
That's on Election Day.
It's for Election Day and also for a couple days after the election as well.
Can you tell us the posture of the National Guard? How many National Guard have been stood up? Who are they answering to? What will they be doing between now and the next few days?
So I want to reiterate what Mayor Bowser and Chief Newsham said late last week, which is at this time the District of Columbia government has not requested any National Guard, DC National Guard resources. We have seen reports that the Park Police has requested National Guard personnel, but that did not come through district government. At this time, we don't see a need. Unless the mayor directs us otherwise, we don't see a need for National Guard resources.
And how many policemen will be deployed?
I'm sorry?
How many policemen will be deployed?
How many police from the Metropolitan Police Department? As the mayor said, MPD is going to be fully mobilized for the election.
Do you know how many National Guard have been deployed to the U.S. Park Police?
I only saw what was in the press. The 250, I believe, was the number. You'd have to confirm that with the National Guard.
Information you guys have that would warrant some businesses to board up just in case?
At this time, we don't have, as Chief Newsham said last week, we don't have any credible or threats to suggest, or specific threats to suggest that there would be any reason to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Public schools on a day that the teachers are staging a sick out after the union has raised concerns about the safety, your principals union, your nurses union, parents as well. We're 1 week out from the staged and scheduled reopening. Why make that decision to change course at this point?
Well, the teachers union has indicated that teachers won't show up. So we have to make some adjustments to the timeline to ensure that the workforce is in place, and we'll do that. Let me just say to everybody, we're in an unprecedented time, unprecedented for all of our government employees, including our teachers, and we have worked every minute in this response to our pandemic to ensure the safety of our employees, and that won't be any different for our teachers. We have made incredible improvements to our buildings. Parents and teachers are walking through our buildings in scheduled walkthroughs. And I'm very proud to say that all of the promises that we have made around our buildings, we will deliver on the timeline that we said we would deliver on them. So they will be perfectly ready on November the 9th.
Time as to when you will open schools?
We will open schools for care classrooms when all of the staffing has been secured. We plan to do that on November the 16th, but we will keep parents informed of that as we secure all of our staffing. They will be likely non-WTU personnel. So we will continue with care classrooms. As far as when teachers are going to return, we will continue to work with the teachers union. What we are unable to do is to say to parents and families and kids who need instruction in their school buildings that we're going to write off the entire school year. And I'm just not willing to do that. So we will continue to work with our teachers union so that our kids who've lost so much, keep in mind they've been out of school since March the 30th. March the 19th, I'm sorry. And we have to be able to give parents and kids an idea of when they're going to be able to return to school. Any other questions?
Yes, I see Dr. Nesbitt is here. Dr. Nesbitt, can we get an update on the COVID numbers? It seems that we've had a week of the numbers trending in the wrong direction, and I'm wondering what you can tell us that means, particularly since we're headed into getting testing back from Halloween and then Thanksgiving and possible protests. But how do you read these last week of numbers?
Sure, Mark. Unfortunately, the District of Columbia has not been spared from the rises in the number of COVID cases that we are seeing across the country. As you know, we have had concerns about what it would mean for a fall and winter season as people have more indoor activity as we go into the holiday seasons, and people may plan to spend more time with their family and friends in small gatherings, or even in some cases the traditional large family gatherings or other travel related activities. With that being said, as some people may have still had a traditional Halloween celebration, not only in the district but in neighboring jurisdictions that then spend some of their time working or doing social activities in the district, in the coming weeks, we may see the impact of that in our daily reported cases. So we're in a space of observation from this past weekend's activities and how that may continue to impact our daily case rate. But again, as I mentioned, it's unfortunate that the district has not been spared from the increases that we've seen. But we do know that the actions that we take as a community can change our trajectory. If people social distance, wear their mask, practice those community hygiene activities such as washing their hands and staying home when they're sick, we can lessen the impact here. And it's also important to note that as activities are available in the community, social related activities, certain types of entertainment, it doesn't mean that everyone has to participate in them and participate in them every day. And being, again, very zealous and mindful of what we are doing as a community can, again, help us to keep that curve flattened and not stress our resources, both from a testing perspective as well as our healthcare system and hospitalization capacity.
Okay, just a couple more. Anything else? Yes.
Talk to us about President Trump said that his election night party, I guess, might be moved to the White House because of, I guess, your orders about the Trump Hotel having too many people. Could you talk to us about that?
I can't explain what the White House or the RNC will do for election night. I can just say what our regulations are, and we know what our regulations are proving to keep D.C. safe. So that would apply to the Trump Hotel as well.
And as a reaction to how early voting has gone so far in the district, a lot of people have come out. Has that gone how you've been hoping in terms of smoothness?
I think so. My only concern is that the early vote centers haven't been more full. And I hope that people will take advantage of early voting today and not have to stand in line tomorrow. Now, that's if more people come out tomorrow. It could be that most people have cast their votes. I'm not sure about that. I hope that's not the case because we still have the opportunity to just blow out our turnout numbers in a D.C. election. And so I hope that people will use today and tomorrow to go vote. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Chef, yes, please, Chef Andres and Suzanne Furstenberg for In America.